Alright, so continuing on to Chapter 7 Into the Void, I'm going to immediately save because I hadn't saved after the Leviathan fight yet, so you can do that if you want, just ignore that. But we're going to go start working our way to engineering. We do have a master lock chest here, which you can come back for later because it's not too far off the path, but it's just a upgrade for a Ripper. Or not the Ripper, I think it's the line gun. Either way, it's a upgrade that'll give you the equivalent of a power node if you come back here. But since we took the elevator down, now we're at mining now. Not engineering, I'm sorry. I need to clarify that. We're in mining, not engineering. Engineering is across the deck if you go through the tram. But we do get a video call here, and there is actually a power node behind these kinesis blocks. I just like to throw them where they won't get in the way, because we're going to be coming back through this hallway frequently, so just to get them where they won't be in our way. And behind these stacked boxes to our left here, or the movable boxes, big boxes, there's actually a master lock behind those. So that's another place where you can get a refill once you get the master key. If we move this block, there's actually an item underneath it, so I do that and grab it. But we're going to grab the rest of the materials in this store section here. The store workbench section. So we're gonna go check our equipment levels, grab everything in this room, be prepared for the elevator that's coming up. Also, there's graffiti on the wall talking about capitalism, so there you go. But we're going to make sure that our ammo levels and everything are looking good before we get on this elevator, because we actually have 2 scripted attacks that will happen on this elevator. So we want to make sure that we're always prepared to be attacked. What exactly triggers the attacks are not currently known to me. I believe it's the first time you go down and then the next time whenever you're going up. But I'm not definitive on that. I just know that there are 2 attacks that happen on this elevator. The first one involves a couple of slashers, and then the second one involves lurkers and leapers. So whenever the elevator first stops, you just want to be prepared for them to jump from the sides here. If you're looking straight at this panel ahead of me, the red panel, they'll come from the left and the right. So we just pull out our force gun and use that. Because we're in such a confined space, it'll push back the necromorphs, buying us a precious few more seconds to get rid of their limbs. And this is the main driving force of actually keeping the force gun, because it comes in handy in a space like this where it buys you the time. Since we don't want to just go crazy with our stasis, the force gun is the next best option. But you'll know that you're good once the elevator starts moving again. After that point, you don't have to worry. Nothing really attacks you on this elevator until it has a power outage or stops moving. So as long as it is moving, you're pretty much fine. So the attacks on it are very telegraphed. And here we go down to Deck C first, because we need to go check out the launch tubes. You just want to let this guy walk through the laser traps. It'll get rid of him. Then we use the box to block them. And after this guy's gone, you can basically just destroy all these laser traps. If you activate them, they have a set amount of time that they can go for, so I just go back and set those off. Then I also just grab the box again. Kinesis not exactly working for me, but I set off all of the lasers in the hallway just so we don't have to worry about them later, after the fact. Because they have a set amount of time, they'll just go out after probably 30 seconds of shooting, if I had to guess. We're going to grab the box behind that, open up this door, and this is where we're actually going to carry on the premeditated malpractice side mission. Some people might miss this, but behind these two boxes are a wall log, which is required to carry on the mission. And we can't leave until this log is over with. I just let it play because I kind of like the story, but the bloody store here actually has this story behind it. And it involves Harris, who eventually becomes the hunter.
They steal my power nodes. Leave me to dig with no light. Hey, get off me! When they abandon you in the dark, it's not empty. The marker whispered its revelations there. Now I understand them. Do you want to hear?
Warning. Untrained personnel may not use suit kiosks.
No, stop, please! I said please.
Incident report filed to Bridge by Dr. Nicole Brennan. See related rig activity.
But yeah, Harris ended up going a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs whenever he was going for osmium for Dr. Mercer. So he ends up trapping a guy into that suit kiosk who isn't supposed to be in there at that point. So he ends up getting brutally can opened. Here, we actually take these dead bodies before this infector can get to them, so it has nothing to infect. As you can see, I just ran down that ramp and immediately launched them into the abyss. But here, I was just saving on ammo by hitting it with anything and everything I could find, including the battery, which we will put into the wall over here. But if an infector doesn't have a body to infect, or you get rid of the bodies in a location where it can't reach, then it will attack you. It doesn't really matter because infectors are kind of slow and very weak on their own. And here we immediately get off of the bench after getting on it because there is a scripted attack behind us. So I just used that one arm that I got out of the wall, the necromorph trapped in the door, and then deal with him. And that was actually in the original too, that scare. I fell victim to it, and in this one, needless to say, I learned my lesson. So, but make sure to watch out for this swarm. It is scripted. Just use the flamethrower as usual. Firewall deals with them very quickly. And now we're going to go check on the launch tubes, which of course are not just simply working, so we have to deal with that. It would not be a Dead Space game if something went right, so we have to go fix the issue with the launch tubes. And here's where we carry on to get Dallas's rig, which is a part of the master key. So we actually can't get the full master key until chapter 10 because it takes getting to the crew deck, the transition between the bridge and the crew deck, to get the master key. So you don't really have to worry about getting that completed until chapter 10. And you physically can't complete it beforehand unless you glitch and knock yourself out of bounds into the rig. So I just wouldn't worry about it. But now we're going to work our way to processing because that's where she said Dallas is. We're not going to worry about the temple beacon yet, because if you get Supervisor Dallas's part first, then you actually can access more areas. So we want that clearance first before we worry about getting the beacon itself. And here you can play the audio log for Jacob leaving a message for Elizabeth Cross, but we don't really care about the story currently. Here I do use the area to my advantage. I go past this little opening to activate the pregnant there, and then I run all the way back. Because this hallway, they won't spawn in here, it actually gives you the longest range to deal with things. So there will be this pregnant and another necromorph that come in. I just use his arm against the other guy, so it weakens him a little bit. The way the enemy health works, to my understanding, is that everything has a base amount of health, but chopping off limbs deals a significant chunk to that base health. So you can actually kill enemies by not dismembering them, and there's another trigger that we activate. But you can actually kill enemies by not dismembering them. It just takes significantly more to do so. But cutting off a limb deals a huge chunk of damage compared to just shooting them, which deals like 1/10 of the damage. But as you can see, I'm just walking up, activating these triggers so enemies pop out a little at a time, and then dealing with them as they come. So we just let them kind of slow funnel into us. Like, I activated the pregnant, and then the slasher moved back, so I had the long hallway to deal with them. Activated the leaper, he was alone, so he was easy to deal with. And then after that, the spitter comes out on the left, and that slasher comes out at the bottom of that ramp. And there are stasis canisters and explosive canisters all over the place here that you can grab in the meantime if you need to deal with them. So you don't have to just walk into the triggers willy-nilly, you can set up stuff. But I just found it easy enough to walk in and deal with them. But we shot the fuse in this room, which allowed us to come in here, which gives us contact energy, a power node, and we will be back for these security cabinets. But we need Dallas's rig first. So we're going to go through here into the right. There's always a necromorph here, so we deal with him. As you can see, he's an armored variety, so we can only cut off his arms and his head. Which, I didn't grab his spike, but I grabbed his arm, which still finished him off. And here, I've had this necromorph spawn as soon as I get rid of the other one, but it seems more likely than not that the store and getting into it is a trigger of some kind to activate him. So I go to the store forgetting this fact, and then the necromorph comes up behind me. So my biggest suggestion would be to tap the store, immediately leave, search all around you, and then look for this guy. So he got a free hit on me because I didn't acknowledge the fact that he would still spawn, triggered by me activating the store. And here we clear out some of these rocks, and then we'll immediately get attacked by leapers and lurkers. They'll come out of these vents, so be prepared for them. And I just use an explosive canister, and that, as you can see, the enhanced lurkers don't go down to just being skewered. They need to be attacked after being skewered, so you have to be mindful of the fact that lurkers are going to be enhanced now and won't just go down to a simple skewering from another necromorph's spike. But now that we've gotten rid of the 2 leapers and 2 lurkers, we're going to clear out this room. You can get all the floating materials in the room, clear out the rocks, and after that we're going to go hit the button in the corner. And you did see that I shot the fuse door over in the corner. You can use that to your advantage. Because the enemies don't path into that room, it's kind of like a safe haven if you start getting overwhelmed. So if you start getting a lot of things piling up on you back here, then you can dodge into the room on the left. But here we hit the button, and don't move from the spot. I like to shoot a firewall over there to hold them, and then I deal with the guys on the left while the firewall is dealing with the guys on the right. So they're all piling up. We deal with both of them. There's another exploder there, and then the other necromorph started running in, but since I took out that pregnant's arm and leg, it started going really slow. So we take out them. As you can see, there's more exploders coming in, so just be on the watch, left and right. Like I've said before, if you have to, always prioritize an exploder, because they will deal significantly more damage to you than a regular slasher if they get on top of you. And if you get 2 on top of you in impossible or hard, same difficulty scaling, damage scaling, then you will die. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts, if you are not full health, you will die. So be mindful of exploders at all times. But as you can see, I walked up to that trigger point over there, which is past the vent, which caused these guys to spawn. So you have more enemies that start coming out. This guy is armored, which I noticed after shooting his leg twice, but we take him out. But be mindful, because there will be an exploder that will come from the other way. If you come back to this area, they can actually walk around to the left, which that one opted to. So he got really close for comfort, and I didn't have any stasis that could have actually been bad. Before I came into this room, I should have opted to refill my stasis at all costs. So that was actually another mistake, even though we came out of this completely unscathed. But always make sure that you have at least 1 shot of stasis, no matter what, especially in a room like this, because it is incredibly dangerous. Like I said, anytime there's a room with exploders, consider it a top tier priority, that they are the most dangerous thing in the room, and that room has some of the most exploders in the game. But here I realized that I actually forgot to go into that fuse room anyways, so we start opting to go that way, because I want to get the materials out of it. There's not a power node or anything, but it is still a good room to clear, because there are a few cabinets. As you can see, there's still 4 cabinets here. So now we're going to go back. Since we have level 3 clearance, we're not going to walk through the door where we got Dallas's rig. We're going to go back here because there is a level 3 door by the store. And actually, if you do listen to Dallas's rig story, it's probably one of the best for story building, because Dallas selflessly cuts off all of his limbs in his last recording. It's kind of brutal, but you can see how courageous the dude was. But there we grab that conductor out of the level 3 clearance room. I sell the Ripper Blades because I'm not using it. I move some of the Force Energy. And if you ever need to replace Force Energy with Plasma Energy, by all means sell a Force Energy stack, because a full stack of Force Energy will buy you 5 stacks of Plasma Energy, which is insanely good efficiency for trade. So 15 Force shots will buy you 30 Plasma Energy shots, and it's not a bad trade to go with. In fact, I would consider it pretty good, all things considered, since our Force Gun is not upgraded at all, and our Plasma rifle, or our Plasma Cutter, is fully upgraded. Here we actually had a Director event where a Necromorph spawned on the elevator. It's not super common, but it does happen. You just have to be mindful whenever you're going through places you've already visited, there may be something that happens. And a weird kind of bug here where the limb section just keeps rolling for some reason. Not entirely sure what happened there. I think it might have had something to do with him being on the elevator and dropping from being smashed. Just odd. And they give us a little bit more exposition with the marker.
No. I didn't see anything. I lost Hammond's signal again.
But now we're on to the 4th floor, or Deck D. And here I grab this dead body so the infector that I know is here won't be able to get to it. They do have another body out here, so you have to be prepared for the slasher that they're going to make, but there are 2 infectors and then a slasher. So we deal with the infectors. We use the narrowness of the doorway to our advantage and set up a firewall. That way, whenever they come, they'll be clumped up together. Now we have to actually prepare for a guardian around the corner, which I miss ever so slightly with the firewall so it doesn't die. And here, the stacking of the pods comes back to bite me in the ass that I was telling you about. As you can see, they start spitting them out like crazy, and it kind of becomes a pain in the ass to deal with. So I end up grabbing this container. They still track you through walls, so you have to be aware of whenever they're going to fire. But it still has 1 tentacle remaining. There I see it and think that it's dead, but then I see the red glow in the corner. And then I just end up using the canister to save a shot. But then we finish him off. You have to be mindful if you hit Guardians not at center mass, it could potentially not kill them with the secondary on the flamethrower, so just be aware of that. Here we open up storage 0, or storage 1, and we do get attacked by a necromorph. This can happen, it could not happen. At the same time, I've also been attacked by an exploder in here one time, so be aware of that. And here you want to be mindful of the swarmers that are in the corner. I heard the noise whenever I walked in. I had forgotten that they do spawn, but you just want to have your flamethrower ready for that room. So we clear out the swarmers, now we're just free to go in there. We grab the ruby semiconductor, and then here, this guy jumps out of the vent. I kind of wedge myself over here because I'm not entirely sure if there's going to be a necromorph in the hallway or not. Because, like I said, I've had things attack at random intervals in this hallway, so you just kind of have to be on the lookout for that. So I set myself up in the most advantageous position that I thought that I could gain by being in that corner for the longest distance from the hallway. But we want to pick up these 2 nodes so that we continue on with Nicole's side mission. And you have to wait for the logs to go through before you can get through the mining deck, so here I was just messing around. Door 3 always has the immature guardian behind it, and door 4 is blocked by all ways of getting to it by the growth, so as far as I'm aware, door 4 is inaccessible, and door 3 just has the guardian behind it being a dick to jump scare you. So we're going to let Nicole and Kind finish their talk, where he gives her the door room code for Mercer's office, which we'll go to at a later time. But we also pick up the node that is a reference to Dead Space 2's intro, where Nicole calls Isaac and wakes him up at God knows what time. But if you remember the opening of Dead Space 2, it's not even really a callback to that, it's a direct reference.
Nicole, the only thing Mercer ever feared was death. Now?
But here we learn Mercer's nothing to fuck with, but we just keep going. At this point we have to do the gondola section. Which I will save again before. Don't really have to, but I just felt like it. Really, saves on Impossible just come down to if you feel like it, or if you think there's going to be a tricky section and you want to do a save quit exploit, which I don't actually use in this, but it is an option. if you want to do the save quit exploit, if you go back to the main menu right before or right after you die, as long as you go back to the main menu before you or the screen registers you as being dead on impossible and tells you to go either back to the beginning or start over or continue on playing hard mode, then you can go back to the main menu and then quit, come back from your save like nothing happened. Again, it is an exploit I didn't use, but it is an option if people are feeling like there is a lot of difficulty on this mode. But we're about at the end of the gondola, and we will meet up with our crazy girlfriend, who may or may not be our crazy girlfriend. And I don't know why it takes her a
Oh my god.
bit of time to register that I'm here, but it takes her a second to start talking.
Never see you again. I'm gonna get us home. There's an SOS.
And if you notice the
The beacon.
monitor behind her there, the red one, you can actually get a new audio log in New Game Plus that shows that the entire time he's actually talking to Elizabeth Cross. It's revealed later on, but if you don't know, then yeah, it is an option. But it shows basically the conversation from her side is her awkwardly talking to Isaac, who's, you know, saying all of these lines, and she's like, what? So now we're just going to be prepared to get attacked by necromorphs. This actually isn't much of a rush of them, since we have the overpowered as hell plasma cutter at this point. We basically just deal with the ones that are on top of us and then the one that attacks Nicole. And they give us 2 stasis canisters at the same time, so we really don't have to worry about too much. And as long as you deal with the 1 on Nicole, you can deal with the 3 on yourself pretty damn easily.
I got your back. Okay. How do I reach you?
No, focus on launching that SOS beacon. There's maintenance ducts everywhere. I'll catch up.
And I don't know how much of a twist it is for a lot of people
Cross my heart.
for
Love you, Isaac.
Nicole being, you know, not Nicole, but she is like hammer smack to the face, kind of dead looking most times that you see her, so. Here we want to grab the beacon, but there is also the intermediate miner rig there, which we definitely want, so if you have to forget something, forget the beacon and grab the suit. At least you'll remember the beacon whenever it's necessary later, but the suit is the better part of our grabs there. But right outside that door there is a power node here. There's just an immature guardian guarding it. So just give them a few smacks, they go down. There's the 1 pod over there that is trying to shoot at us, but then we deactivate the gondola and activate zero gravity. And there is 1 level 3 security clearance door that we want to go to here. Since we're already in the area, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to not visit it, because we do get more materials and a power node from it. So we definitely want to grab that while we're here. You just have to be mindful of the blobs of flesh that turn into the pods. But there you can see I just go through a little crevice around the hole to get down to this door. But there we get the flamethrower upgrade, which is a power node, essentially, and we also use it. And then we also get a power node here, which is guarded by an immature guardian. Just smack them. Simple enough. We grab the rest of the stuff, and there is the crab here, which is a buddy of the T-Rex that we saw earlier. There's also a shark in the master key area at the beginning of engineering. The one that I was talking about behind the TK blocks, where we start this entire chapter. And if you go behind the gondola platform here, you can actually see a message scrawled on the wall. It's kind of just hidden back there, but it's used for the red circle in Chapter 4 in the break room.
Exiting zero gravity.
Not much to it, just little bits and bobs of random Easter eggs here and there. I think there was another plush animal of some kind, but I forget it currently. I know of the shark, the crab, and the T-Rex, but I for the life of me can't remember the fourth one. And here I'm anticipating an attack from the leapers and lurkers, so that's why I have this spike at the ready. Which, as you can see, as soon as I dropped it, it's happening. And you'll know if it's lurkers and leapers because the lurkers make really obvious noises. So I just use the spike to instantly get rid of that non-enhanced one. And then this one just decides to jump down and start smacking at me, so I just dodge out of the way. I don't know why it came all the way down to try and smack me, but it did, so. But here comes the leaper, who is kind of janky stuck in the wall, but I just cut off his arm, and then he falls off. But now you have to watch out for the second one, because you can get attacked in different ways. And once the power's restored, we're all good. We just go back into the door. And now that we've cleared out all this laser hallway, we don't have to worry about any of those, so it's all good there. Now you have to be mindful whenever you come into this room now, because you'll get attacked again, which that guy came in really hot, so he was on top of me very quickly, and I used my stasis to secure his dead body at least. Which wasn't bad in hindsight, but he was already gone at that point, so it was a waste. And here I just make sure that all of my tools are refilled while I'm climbing up lifts and stuff, because it is the opportune time to reload. And don't think you're safe in this room. Because, yeah, I get attacked in a safe-ish area. I start thinking what I'm going to use, and of course the force gun is like using a shotgun in this tiny room, and hard to miss with it, so we completely deglove one of the necromorphs, and then the armor guy just goes down. So yeah, that is the case in point for safe rooms with items in it are not safe rooms. And don't ever assume that they are, because they can send in stuff at you while you're in them. And it can suck, because you can be stuck in a tiny room with two guys with blades for arms that want you dead.
Administrator access granted. Prepping launch tube.
And now we think that we've solved the issue with the launch tubes. Turns out we haven't. So we have to go into another section where most people dislike because of an insta-kill mechanic, which is the asteroid processing.
There's gotta be something. The asteroid.
If you can see the giant arms smoothing out the asteroid through the window there,
That asteroid.
that is exactly what I'm talking about.
We'd get a clean broadcast.
I don't find it too scary though. If you take your time whenever it comes to the arms on the asteroid, then it makes it a lot less likely to kill you. The biggest problem I think most people have is even when the arms are stopped, their hitboxes are still active. So even when you see them not in motion, they will still instantly kill you. So you have to be aware of that. And we go in this room. I don't take the battery at first because these guys. And here I was just trying to get a shot at him while the door's opening, but for some reason it didn't want to stay open even whenever he was next to it, so he got a lot closer than I was comfortable with. But then I work my way into the room, and there's going to be another one that comes out. So I start trying to get an angle on him, and here we see him. So just shoot his explosive sack twice, and it'll get rid of him. Now we have to go get the battery. I just wanted to clear out the exploders here because if I'm holding the battery, that's a delay of like a quarter of a second until I can fire because I have to drop the battery or get rid of it. So I didn't even want that to be a chance. So I just got rid of the battery in the meantime as an option. But as soon as we put the battery in, this guy will bust out. He's no big deal. So I just opt to stasis him and dispatch him. He is armored though, so you have to shoot his arms. And then we go down. Here we're going to collect the materials in this cabinet, or not cabinet, closet. Which, these stasis packs are always there, so make sure to grab those because they can come in handy in the next section if you start running low. Especially if you get caught outside, a little ways away from stasis. There is also a stasis refill here, which we're going to hit. So, it's free. It was quite literally a step off the beaten path. So we wanted to use that. Here we're just going to grab the box before we continue on hitting the fuse. I start scanning a little bit for items and stuff, don't see anything close, so I opt to just get rid of the fuse now, and then we'll be attacked. So be aware as soon as you hit that fuse, you will have stuff coming at you. And as you can tell by his darker appearance, this is an enhanced leaper, so he's going to be a little bit tougher. So I opt to stasis him and get rid of one of his arms while he's on the wall, so I don't have to waste more shots in the meantime. And now I'm just scanning around for more enemies, but I currently don't see anything. Honestly, a lot of the time, whenever I go into a panic and search around in a zero-G area, most of the time the thing that's confusing me is my own jet noises. To me, they sound eerily like lurkers, so I'm always thinking that a lurker is attacking whenever my jets are activated, which is always whenever you're boosting them. Here, I just make sure that I have an opening. The arms only have 2 positions they can be at. As you can see, there's 2 overlapping here, but then whenever they go down, there was nothing, like there's no arms or anything. So check the 2 positions that it'll be at. If one of them is open, wait for it to flip, and then that open one to be there. You can stasis the arms and then just fly out as quickly as possible. So, just to reiterate that, the arms have 2 positions in the processing bay. One of them opens at one side and the other opens at the other side. Just line yourself up whenever you're at one of the sides. Wait for it to go to the, or start going to the other side, stasis it, and then go through. Because the arms have a set interval of when they swap back and forth, you can stasis them and one side will stay open. And here I ran out of plasma cutter, took 2 shots to the face, kind of free-ishly, so kind of frowning upon that. But if you want to know, you can use the force gun on that. You can't use the flamethrower in space, which I believe was still an oversight in the original. I don't know if it is in this one. I think it was something about hydrazine working in zero-G sections as long as there's a starter of some kind. But here, once you finish planting the beacon on the asteroid, the arms actually stop, so you can just go in as long as there's nothing there. So that's what I do. I just look for the open section without the spiked arms and go through there. And I'm going to grab a stasis refill on the way out, not the way in. Just because I'm running right past it instead of 2 steps away. And you can see the lurker hit me with 2 of its spikes, but it still didn't even take off a full chunk of my health bar. So they don't do a ton of damage, but damage is damage, so we want to avoid it whenever we can. And here we don't have to worry about any enemies, but we do have to worry about the fire. So as soon as you see it go out, just run. I like to launch the battery, that way I don't even have to worry about that as an option, and I can get across the fire quicker by just running. So if I can launch a battery places, I will. Because if I don't have to worry about holding a battery, then I don't want to. Anything in your hands that's not one of your tools is less optimal. And here we've got the level 4 suit, which I actually should have got before I went in all of that. I should have stopped at the store beforehand and just gotten it, but it didn't really matter a whole lot. But we do have it now, so we're going to have an upgraded graph as well as upgraded inventory. So as long as you can buy the suits or sell stuff to buy the suits, because every percentage of armor is a percentage less of damage that we take, so it's always worth it. And here we sell off all of our semiconductors. I do still have that flamethrower upgrade, so I can take that over to the bench for a power node and to free up the inventory slot. So I do end up buying some nodes. As you can see, I'm sitting at 14, so I'm sitting pretty damn pretty right now. And we just got our new rig, so I'm pretty much going to go level that out. And there we get 15 nodes because of our flamethrower upgrade that we had. So we're just going to buy the rest of the upgrades for our suit, because obviously we can, and that'll heal us to full because we get the HP node there. And because I have so many nodes, I just opt to start leveling the flamethrower. Since we don't get weighted blades until chapter 8, we just can opt to fill up the nodes and other things. So I end up going for damage on the flamethrower, so it can substitute for the plasma cutter if necessary. After all, more damage is more ammo efficiency. And as you can see, I'm out of plasma cutter, and I just noticed. So I end up going to get some of that. And I also do have the jellified hydrazine here for the flamethrower, which I can end up getting because it is basically a power node. So I end up opting for that. And the jellified hydrazine actually makes your flamethrowers reach about 3 times what it is normally. So it becomes hellaciously... the jellified hydrazine makes your firewalls burn longer. But there is a torch later on. You get it in chapter 10 in the barracks. That makes your flamethrowers reach about 3 times as long, and it is an insanely good upgrade, just for the fact that your flamethrower basically becomes a sniper. It's kind of absurd. But here I just noticed that I have no plasma cutter energy, so I opt to buy some of that with my leftover funds. I like to sit myself, if I can, I'd be conservative with my money. I like to sit myself at around 20 to 30 grand in reserve, because that's 2 to 3 large health packs, that's 3 power nodes if I'm running a little low on that. That's about half of the top suit that you can get. And if I have enough in storage, I can sell a lot of things to make up for the fact that I'm missing on other stuff. So if you leave yourself a reserve, it'll come in handy in the future whenever you're looking worse for wear. In health, in armor, in anything. So just leave yourself some form of cash around. But here we're going to get attacked by the hunter. I use the gravity well. Whenever it doesn't have the damage over time effect, it won't activate stasis canisters or other propane canisters. So I just take full advantage of the fact that we have stasis in this room and use that for the most part. I do use my stasis whenever they're not clumped together right there to hit him. And then once she says hit the manual release, this will start opening. I do that, open it. I use another gravity well to suck them in. And here we get attacked outside the door. I just use the force gun to push him away and then go down the elevator. And since we do that, we can just book it out of this place and we never come back. So don't worry about leaving necromorphs behind, because as said before, if you don't come back to a section, you don't have to worry about them being there. And we're going to start getting stuff attacking us here. Like I said, just keep booking ass, because the hunter is mixed in with this group. I set a firewall here so it'll stop them. And then I just hop on the elevator and go up to the preparation deck. So that's how I effectively do that section with the least amount of ammo that I can use. The force gun, just push everything back and run around it. And then at the end, the firewall just to hold them off while you're getting the elevator started. But now we're going to go up to the preparation deck. We're actually going to get attacked by body parts from the divider, so be on the lookout for that. After we get Kendra talking about us.
No comms, no rescue. Take the tram to the bridge. I'll hack open the door to communications. You see what's happening with the array. And don't worry about Nicole. Like Kevin said, she'll do the smart thing.
But I grabbed the spike just to be prepared for the head to pop out on the left here. Gets rid of it instantly, but now we still have to deal with the hands, which are a lot tankier than they probably should be for being such small enemies. I'm not exactly sure why those things are so tanky, but they are. So you have to be on the lookout for them, because for some reason they just like to tank shots. But here we open up that locker that we didn't have the clearance for before. And I just go into the store real quick. Don't really know why. Don't really have much to do besides move over that singular stasis. But here in the next hallway, after I'm done saving, if we go out, there is actually a chance of being attacked in the hallway leading to the tram station, so be mindful of that. I've had up to 3 necromorphs spawn in this area and attack me. I've also had a pregnant attack. That's what I'm on the lookout for, because I have been attacked in this hallway quite frequently. So just be mindful. But with that, Chapter 7 is basically going to be completed. We are going to go to the bridge and be through with this section. So other than that, let me know what you guys think and have a good one.